Well, as It's Always Poppin' would say, the mayonnaise maniacs are at it again. But yeah, no, feminists, Australia, credit card companies, everything that basically wants to screw you over. Yeah, they all suck, don't they? Essentially, what happened with Steam recently was, of the hands of some weird ass group of Australian women, of people that just don't really know what an actual woman likes to have fun with and all this sort of stuff. Basically, this weird ass group, Collective Shout, basically are the reason why Steam has gotten hit with what they have gotten hit with, because they sent letters out or whatever and messaged like all these other weird companies and all this other stuff, just basically like, hey yo, can you like block this damn thing, because we don't like this, because we're feminists or Karenists, because we don't really have any fun at all, and everything needs to be boring and bland like our cooking as mayonnaise maniacs. Literally, that's what they've been doing, and essentially that's kind of what hit Steam hard as hell, as to why they've been now taking off a lot of different stuff related to NSFW content. And it's so bad, right? Again, I am so tired of just straight up having a lot of options being limited because somebody's feelings was hurt, or somebody being butthurt or whatever, or this progressivism sort of mindset. Really, what progressivism really actually is, hey, if my way doesn't work, then everybody else gotta suffer with it, right? It's basically like that stupid ass like phrase where, one bad apple ruins the bunch, where no it doesn't. You literally can pick out whatever other apple that's actually pretty decent and pretty good and still keep that around, versus, effing everybody else over. That's kind of one phrase I've always hated, and that yet be a phrase that be used constantly over and over again, that be proven true, unfortunately. But when it comes down to it though, it's literally the most laughable thing that a lot of these groups try to absolutely do. Like, yeah, they want to sit here and censor like all these games where women are getting assaulted and all this sort of stuff. It's just like, what are we talking about? Well, first of all, some of these games absolutely need, things like that, especially if you're telling a story where that sort of thing can absolutely happen, right? I believe they're the same group that tried to stop, I believe, Detroit Becomes Human, because they didn't like the idea that women were being sold off, and it made them look bad and all that sort of stuff, when that game literally is about all of that sort of stuff. Once again, it just drives the hammer of the point home, where it's like, sometimes you will run into issues that you really can't deal with, and sometimes for people, making something out of fiction or coping with it in fiction is how they kind of process that for themselves and how they feel better as people, right? Because like I said before, with the Final Fantasy 16 person that was talking about that one time, literally Jill went through that whole issue of just getting used and all that sort of stuff. But it's just like, all right, you don't like it in the game, and you don't like that, serious topics like this has to be discussed. When do you bring it up? When do you talk about this sort of stuff? Because in real life, people don't want to necessarily bring that shit up. So where do you absolutely do it? Well, what other better place than fiction? And if fiction is not the place that you can do something like that, then it's like, when the hell else can you do so? Because people can't just sit here and just keep that shit inside. That'd be very much unhealthy, and very much something that's not a positive outlet or a positive solution for them. So at the end of the day, you need to have stuff like this to happen when it comes down to content, because that's just how it is. Whether it's for, a story related reason and just to tell something like that, or whether it's just literally just because they can do so, right? Because at the end of the day, again, people are very much not understanding, why do people like, a lot of these weird and crazy ass games or anime or shows or books or whatever like that? Because deep down, all of us kind of have a sort of sense where we kind of don't mind that sort of thing, right? A fair amount of us don't mind a bit of darkness every now and again. The only difference is, a fair amount of people are not going to cash out on that in real life, versus, some actual deranged person might actually want to forcibly clap someone's cheeks without consent, or do something absolutely ridiculous in terms of wanting to beat the shit out of somebody and take it a little too far. Or somebody that's taking the concept of lolly and then applying it to real life. Like, Those are moments where it goes absolutely overboard. But here's the damn thing. I don't put that on the fiction side of things, and most people don't put it on the fiction side of things. The main reason for that is because you have control over what the hell that you do. You have control over exactly, what sort of decision you decide to make today. If you decide to go outside, find the nearest woman you could find, and literally go ahead and forcibly take her cheeks, and you get arrested for that, it's not going to be on the piece of fiction fault that showed it off. It's going to be on you, because why the hell did you go out and do it, right? No one's out here trying to tell you, hey, yes, this is a positive thing, go out and do the evil obvious thing, when in reality that's just not the case, right? You again have every option in your brain to tell you to not do it and to stop it in some shape or form. Doesn't necessarily matter if you go through a bad childhood or a bad past or anything like that, right? Sucks for you, but at the end of the day, don't apply that shit to other people and try to apply that shit to, reality and how things kind of actually is. You should be able to tell yourself that, yeah, this is a problem, and yeah, I don't need to be doing this, instead of letting a credit card company or some internet network providers or a group of white women with too much damn time on their hands literally tell you exactly what this sort of thing ends up being, or how certain things should absolutely go, because there ain't no damn way somebody should be controlling what you are into or what things should be allowed. Again, limiting options of what people can sit here and enjoy, and all that sort of stuff. And then most of the time, those very same people are the ones that be projecting the same sort of nonsense that they want to, say there's so much against or anything like that. Like, I am fairly certain something with that collective shout group, the feminists that are basically out here on that sort of weird type of time against Steam and everything else, they got some shady shit down there. I've seen multiple people bring up multiple different, posts and articles about there's some type of predator thing that's out there, and all that sort of stuff. I've seen it in multiple different places, so I'd imagine that they probably got some dirt somewhere. I can't really confirm anything because I don't see any links or actual articles that, link to some real news. But when it comes down to it though, you don't get information like that out of thin air though, right? You really don't. So there might be some nonsense that group has done that is just straight up them projecting that they absolutely don't want anybody else to see. It would not surprise me, because groups of people like this have done stuff like this already before. It just doesn't surprise me whatsoever. And ultimately, when groups of people and people just in general wants to go so hard for censorship and be so adamant about a lot of this stuff, who the hell does it hurt? It just hurts you. It hurts you mainly, and for literally no reason whatsoever. Again, if you don't like that sort of content, ain't nobody saying that you have to like it, but you should very much understand why that sort of thing kind of exists. Like, I have to be convinced that these are just some people that are just bored out their mind, that literally have nothing else to do but just to ruin everybody's day, and then say it's in the name of progressivism, or it's a part of it's a different time, so to speak, when in reality we never really differed from what we actually like. We still like hot ass women in our games. We still like to see, the raunchiest and darkest things in the fiction that can be offered. We like to see things of that caliber when it comes down to it that isn't real, because ultimately fiction just makes it appealing, and because no one getting hurt at the end of the day, who the hell should really care? That's really what it comes down to at the end of the day. And the fact that people want to, I guess, take control of that is very hella concerning. Again, and as I said before, and it may not be the optimal thing on the planet, but there is some parts of that dark fiction, that darkness that exists within these writings, these shows, and stuff like that in general, do stop people from might actually doing something in real life too, right? Not the, again, optimal thing to have happen, and for people to kind of have that mindset of, like, again, you should very much go get help before you do anything crazy and all that sort of stuff. But they also do stop people from hurting other people. So if that is the case, I'd rather that be the case of them just relying on fiction for that than actually going out and committing something. Again, not the perfect response and not the perfect thing, but at the end of the day, at least still no one's getting, harmed in some shape or form. I would rather that than actually people getting legitimately harmed. Once again, I don't understand how this small collective group of assholes, if I'm gonna be honest, ends up just straight up just like getting all this power to do whatever the hell they need to do, and have all these companies just at their beck and call to kind of help censor everything. It really doesn't make sense. And it all just hammers home the damn point too, that we really need to just fight back hard as hell. We need to call shit out like this whenever it happens, and really hammer home that yes, this sucks, and people should actually be caring about this sort of thing. Don't let this be a one-off or a brush off like it ain't nothing. Actually think about it for 5 seconds and consider how shitty the situation can get when it comes down to it, though, right? That's just literally how it is. And at the very same vein of things, we also should consider the fact that maybe we need to start creating our own sort of content, right? At the end of the day, there's always going to be some sort of company, corporation that's going to agree with these people with the widest forehead of light that look like they come from Utah. That's literally how it is, and that's how a lot of these people are going to be. So ultimately, if that's going to be the case, might as well create your own piece of fiction as well, right? It's nice to complain about a lot of this stuff, much less call it out, but we also should provide an alternative that these asshats can't really get to. And if we can do that, that would be great for literally everybody involved that actually wants to, keep certain realms of fiction, still out there. Actually keep it there in a way where it's not necessarily getting hoed by literally everybody, right? As I believe Dr. Disaster once said, we can't necessarily sit here and complain about the stuff that we don't like. We need to provide alternatives for things that we absolutely do like. And that's a lot of the case of why people are very creative these days and create different sort of contents and do what they need to do. And it's nice to see, because again, assholes like the collective shouts, assholes like the credit card companies and the internet networks that is very much trying to enforce pieces of fiction when they haven't done shit about real life whatsoever. Literally, we do need to safeguard and gatekeep and do all the stuff that we need to, so we can keep what we actually enjoy safe. And on top of that, also bring in awareness about real life things that is very much sad and unfortunate, and actually bring that to the forefront, then more so fiction. Because again, if we really going to be honest, do I believe the collective shall do anything for kids that has actually been going through actual real things, or women that has gone through real issues and problems and stuff like that? Any of these credit card companies, any of these big companies and governments just do anything for their people on that sort of degree? No, I don't feel like a lot of them do enough. They don't do anything at all when it comes down to it. And yet it's always down to the average everyday person to lend a hand, and that's more valuable than anybody else that could do with these corporations, these collective groups, or anything like that. That is literally how it has been, because people have been for the people, and basically anybody else that's not on that same level has been for themselves in some weird ass way to screw over the people. That's literally how it's been. But yeah, I guess that's really all I wanted to talk about for this one. Really just wanted to hammer home the collective shout and how asshole of that group really is, and the fact they come from Australia also kind of clarifies a lot of things too, again, because it's like Australia have been cooking up some weird shit for some time now, so they desperately need some help for sure. But when it comes down to it though, it just again goes to show you that a lot of these companies, corporations and stuff like that needs to be called out, needs to be hoed in every which way possible, in a reasonable sort of way, have provided the evidence of like what sort of things have they done, and call them out promptly as they should be. Because at the end of the day, there is no reason for any of this to happen, anything like this at all, when at the end of the day people use these sort of things to make stories, to have fun, to kind of cope with their whole existence at times. Because again, if you don't get a chance to talk about this ever, at least fiction has your back. Because when else are you going to be able to do such a thing, to bring up serious subject matter, or bring up these things in a way where it's fun for you, or coping for you, and actually helping you to kind of progress through life? Again, they don't care. They really don't, because it doesn't matter to them. But at the end of the day, it should matter for you and what you actually want to see, and things of sort like that. Whether it's anime, games, shows, and other things of the sort, that shit should be an option always open for you, and not something that should be taken away just because quote unquote people don't like it. It's so damn weird every time. But that's again what I guess what I really want to say about this one. So hopefully you did enjoy. If you did, be sure to like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification on the way out. Also follow my socials, and if you'd like to donate to the channel, go find Cash App is available as well. And until this project, sign off. Have a blessed day.